Hey everyone, welcome back to Everyday English Pod.
Yeah, good to be back.
Always good to be back. And today we're tackling something that really impacts how we communicate, how we learn,
Yeah.
and honestly, even just how we see ourselves. We're talking about building self-confidence. And it's something we all kind of need, right?
Yeah.
To get out there and to keep pushing ourselves forward.
Absolutely. And what's been so interesting diving into this material you shared with me is that it's not just like this vague, feel-good idea. It's like there are actual steps you can take to actually build self-confidence, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, it's almost like a recipe in a way. So we're going to try to really break it down today. Really get into it.
Yeah.
Pull out the most interesting things, maybe even some stuff that'll surprise us.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys listening can really get a lot out of this.
Oh, okay.
So let's kind of start with the basics. I mean, when we say self-confidence, what are we really talking about?
I think at the heart of it, it's about trusting yourself. It's about believing that you have the ability to handle things, even if they're tough, that you can learn from things when they go wrong, and that you're willing to kind of step outside your comfort zone to keep growing. It's not about, having all the answers right now.
Right. And, sometimes I think people get this mixed up with something else.
Yeah.
Almost like arrogance.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally, totally. And there's a big difference, right?
Huge.
Self-confidence is about knowing what you're good at and accepting yourself. Whereas arrogance, it's almost like trying to cover up for feeling insecure, right?
Yeah.
Trying to prove something. And someone who's truly confident doesn't need to do that. They just, they have this inner sense of like, I got this.
I got this, yeah. And it comes from within. It's not this show that you put on for other people. And, what I find really encouraging about all this material you sent is that it makes it clear you don't have to be born confident.
Right.
Right. It's not like your eye color, like, oh, you're just born with it.
Yeah.
It's something you develop.
Absolutely. Yeah, it happens through what you experience. But even more importantly, I think, it's about how you deal with those experiences, right? How you respond to them.
Okay.
Even the little things, the small wins you have, they all kind of add up.
Like little building blocks?
Yeah, exactly. And as those blocks pile up, your self-confidence grows.
Yeah, I love that. So we know what it is.
Yeah.
We know it's something we can actually build.
Yeah.
Where do we even start?
Yeah.
Because I know you sent over a lot of stuff.
Right.
And there's a lot of emphasis on preparation.
Yeah. Preparation is huge.
Okay.
Because think about it. If you feel like you're ready for something, you're naturally going to feel more secure.
Right.
Like imagine you're going into a situation where you need to use specific English phrases or certain skills, right? Taking the time to practice beforehand, that isn't just about memorizing words.
Okay.
It's about getting that feeling of like, okay, I'm ready for this.
Like I'm prepped. I have my tools in my toolkit.
Exactly.
So when I walk in, it's like, okay, I'm ready.
Exactly. You're not going to be fumbling around.
Right.
You've got it. And the other thing to remember, and this is really important, is that confidence isn't about never feeling nervous.
Oh, yeah. We all get that.
Right.
Like butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about doing it anyway.
Okay.
It's about not letting those nerves stop you. So instead of focusing on being perfect,
Right.
think about learning and growing.
Okay.
That's where the real confidence comes from. When you're willing to try, even if you're a little scared.
You just keep pushing forward.
Exactly. And every time you do that, your confidence grows.
So it's almost like you're proving to yourself, I can handle this, even if it's a little bit scary. And, one thing that I thought was really interesting in the material is how it talks about mistakes.
Oh, yeah. Mistakes are huge.
Yeah.
They're a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's all about how you look at them.
Okay.
Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, think of them as chances to learn. That's how you build real, lasting confidence.
I mean, that's so much easier said than done, though.
It is, right.
Right.
It is. But when you can let yourself make those mistakes without beating yourself up about it, you're giving yourself permission to grow, to get better.
So it's like, okay, I messed up, but now I know better for next time.
Exactly. It's all about constantly learning, adjusting, and refining. And as you do that, you start to really trust yourself.
You trust your ability to figure it out.
Yeah. And remember, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not about arriving at some perfect destination.
It's not about being perfect overnight.
Right.
Right.
It's about that ongoing progress, preparing as best you can, and knowing that you're going to make mistakes.
But that's okay.
It's all part of it.
That's part of it. So we're on this journey. Yeah. We're prepping. We're accepting our mistakes.
Right.
What else can we do to kind of build that confidence?
You know, one of the most powerful things, and it's something we all have inside us, is the way we talk to ourselves.
Positive self-talk.
Yeah, exactly. Like being your own cheerleader.
Okay, so like you're being nice to yourself instead of that inner critic.
Right, because those thoughts we have running through our heads, they have a huge impact.
On how we feel.
On everything, yeah. If you're constantly telling yourself, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, it's going to tear you down.
Yeah.
But if you can start replacing those thoughts with something positive and realistic, like, hey, I'm learning, or I'm making progress, that creates a much better environment for your confidence to grow.
It's almost like you're creating a safe space in your own mind.
Exactly. Now, it might feel a little weird at first to be intentionally nice to yourself.
Yeah.
But one thing that can really help is actually writing those positive phrases down. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Take some time, write down affirmations. Things like, I am capable, I'm getting stronger every day, I'm doing my best. And then say them to yourself, especially when those doubts start creeping in.
Okay, so it's like having a little cheat sheet.
Exactly. And don't forget to acknowledge your successes.
Even the small ones.
Even the small ones, absolutely.
Okay, like if you managed to finish that presentation.
Yeah, or if you had a difficult conversation, but you handled it well.
Or if you just didn't procrastinate for once.
Exactly. Anything that shows you're moving forward.
So you're combining positive self-talk with recognizing what you've actually achieved.
Yes. And that gives you real evidence of your growth.
It makes it real.
And that's key for building confidence.
I like that a lot. And, you know, speaking of keeping track, this confidence journaling idea, I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, yeah. It's a simple but powerful tool.
What is it?
So basically, you keep a journal, but instead of writing about your day, you write down things you did well.
Oh, like a success journal.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be anything big, just things that you feel good about.
So even if it's just, I got out of bed today.
Yeah, if that was a win for you, write it down.
Write it down.
The point is to focus on the positive.
Okay, so you're basically creating a record of all your wins.
Yeah, a written record.
Okay.
And as that list grows, so does your self-trust.
Because you can see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's right there in front of you.
Tangible.
Yeah. And then when you're having a bad day or you're doubting yourself,
you can go back and look at it.
Flip through the pages and remind yourself of everything you've accomplished.
I love that. It's like your own personal hype document.
Exactly.
I love it. Now, goals are obviously a big part of this whole process.
Oh, yeah.
But I noticed that the material was very specific about what kind of goals.
Right. It's not just about setting any old goal.
Okay.
It's about setting small, achievable goals.
Okay, so like bite-sized. Yeah, exactly. Because when you actually achieve a goal, even a small one, you prove to yourself that you're capable.
You did it.
You did it. And that builds confidence.
So, for example, if someone's trying to learn English.
Right.
Maybe their goal is to learn 5 new words a day.
Perfect example.
Right.
And then as you keep hitting those small goals, your confidence grows and you start to believe, hey, I can actually do this.
That makes the bigger goal less scary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so important to celebrate those wins.
So
even the tiny ones.
Okay.
Because that positive reinforcement, it keeps you motivated.
Yeah, like I'm on the right track.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the material also really emphasizes setting realistic goals.
Right. So not aiming for the moon right away.
Right. Because if your goals are too big, it can be overwhelming.
And then you get discouraged.
Exactly. So start small.
Okay.
Enjoy those successes.
Okay.
And gradually work your way up to those bigger challenges.
That's great advice. So we're setting achievable goals.
Yeah.
We're celebrating our wins. We're being kind to ourselves.
Right.
What about when things don't go as planned? Because that happens.
Oh, absolutely.
It's inevitable. Right. What do we do then?
You know, one of the most powerful things you can do is learn to embrace failure.
Embrace failure.
Yeah.
That sounds counterintuitive.
I know, right? But it's all about changing how you think about it.
Okay.
Instead of seeing failure as a bad thing, see it as a chance to get better.
Okay, so it's like a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Right.
Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we learn and grow.
Yeah, I mean, I make mistakes all the time.
Right. So instead of being afraid of failure, think of it as information.
Okay.
It's telling you what to adjust, what to work on.
It's like feedback.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, you know, the material really highlights that everyone fails.
Even the most successful people.
Especially them. They've probably failed more than most. But the difference is they didn't let it stop them.
They kept going.
Exactly.
They learned from it.
Yeah. So when you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what can I learn from this?
Okay, so turn it into a positive.
Exactly.
Instead of a negative.
And remember, confidence isn't about avoiding failure. It's about bouncing back from it.
So it's about resilience.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're prepping, we're embracing mistakes, we're being kind to ourselves.
Right.
What else is there? What else can we do to kind of build that solid foundation?
You know, something that often gets overlooked is self-care.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and mindfulness.
Okay, so like taking care of yourself.
Exactly, because when you feel good, physically and mentally, you're naturally going to feel more balanced and secure.
Right, like if you're exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel confident.
Exactly.
Okay.
So things like exercise, meditation, even just getting enough sleep.
Basic stuff.
Yeah, basic stuff, but so important. It's like giving your mind and body the fuel they need to function properly.
Right. So self-care isn't selfish.
No, not at all.
It's essential.
It's essential for building confidence.
Okay. And what about mindfulness? How does that fit in?
So mindfulness is all about being present in the moment without judging yourself.
Okay.
And, you know, a lot of times lack of confidence comes from worrying too much.
About the past, the future.
Yeah, about things that have already happened or things that might happen.
Yeah.
But when you're mindful, you let go of those worries.
Okay.
You focus on what's happening right now.
So it's like quieting that inner voice.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
And that can really help you feel more confident in the moment.
Because you're not overwhelmed by all those thoughts.
Exactly.
Okay.
And mindfulness also helps you notice that inner critic.
The one that's always putting us down.
Yeah, that one. But when you're more aware of those thoughts,
you can choose to ignore them.
Or at least not let them control you.
That's powerful.
It is. And there are some simple ways to practice mindfulness.
Like what?
Like taking a few deep breaths.
Okay.
Going for a walk in nature, doing some yoga.
These are all things we can do in our everyday lives.
Exactly.
Right.
And they can make a big difference.
So we're taking care of ourselves physically and mentally. We're being mindful.
Right.
What about the people around us?
Oh, that's a big one too.
Yeah.
The people you surround yourself with, they can have a huge impact on your confidence.
Okay, so like if you're around negative people all the time.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to feel good about yourself.
It's draining.
It is.
Okay.
But when you're around people who are supportive.
Yeah.
Who encourage you and believe in you.
It lifts you up.
It does. It's like their confidence rubs off on you.
Like it's contagious.
Exactly.
Okay.
So choose your friends wisely.
Right. Surround yourself with good people.
Yeah. Now, it's not always possible to avoid negative people altogether.
Right. Especially at work.
Yeah.
Or in family situations.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can control how much you let them affect you.
Okay.
Protect your mental space.
So set boundaries.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you know, another thing that can really help is finding role models.
Oh, like people you look up to?
Yeah. People who embody the kind of confidence you want to have.
Okay.
And that can be really inspiring.
It gives you something to strive for.
Yeah. Just remember, everyone's journey is different.
Right.
So don't compare yourself to others too much.
Okay. So find people who inspire you.
Yeah.
But focus on your own path.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're surrounding ourselves with supportive people.
Yeah.
We're taking care of ourselves.
Right.
Is there anything else we can do to actively boost our confidence?
You know, one of the best things you can do is step outside your comfort zone.
What do you mean?
I mean, doing things that make you a little nervous.
Okay. So like challenging yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because every time you do that, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought.
So it's like expanding what you believe you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those experiences, they really build confidence.
Because you're like, hey,
yeah,
I did that.
Yeah.
I survived.
And, you know, it doesn't have to be something huge.
Okay.
It could be something small, like, you know, for someone learning English.
Yeah.
Trying to have a conversation with a native speaker.
Even if it's just a short one.
Yeah, even if it's just ordering a coffee.
But you're putting yourself out there.
Exactly.
Okay. And over time,
you start to realize you can handle more than you thought.
Yeah, I like that. So we're stepping outside of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
But we're also being consistent.
Oh, consistency is key.
Okay. Why is that so important?
Because when you show up consistently, even in small ways,
okay,
it builds this incredible sense of self-trust.
Like you're proving to yourself you can rely on yourself.
Exactly. It's like you're making a promise to yourself and keeping it.
And that makes you feel good?
It does.
Okay.
And over time, those small actions add up.
So it's like building a habit.
Yeah.
Of following through.
And, it's also about not giving up when things get tough.
Right, because confidence isn't built on easy wins.
Exactly.
Great.
It's built on pushing through challenges.
Okay, so it's about that perseverance.
Exactly. So whether you're practicing English every day or working towards those small goals we talked about, that consistency, it really lays the foundation for lasting confidence.
Like little bricks, building a wall.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. And, one thing that really stood out to me in the material was the emphasis on self-compassion.
Oh, yeah, that's so important.
Yeah.
We can be so hard on ourselves.
Oh, I'm the worst.
Right.
I'm my own worst critic.
And that inner critic, it can really sabotage your confidence.
Yeah.
So self-compassion is about treating yourself with kindness, understanding, and acceptance.
Like you would treat a friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about being gentle with yourself when you make mistakes.
Not beating yourself up.
Right. Because when you can do that, you're more likely to try new things.
Because it's okay if you mess up.
Yeah. You're not afraid of failing.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of building confidence.
Okay, so it's about creating that safe space.
Yeah.
Where it's okay to be imperfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And self-compassion also helps you accept yourself.
For who you are.
Yeah, flaws and all.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, you stop comparing yourself to others so much.
Right, because everyone's different.
Exactly.
Okay.
So focus on your own journey.
Okay.
And be patient with yourself.
It's a process.
It is. And remember, setbacks are normal.
They're part of the process.
They are.
Okay.
So don't let them derail you.
Yeah. So we're being kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
We're celebrating our wins. We're embracing failure.
Right.
What about visualization? I know that was mentioned in the material.
Yeah, visualization is a powerful tool.
Okay. How does that work?
Basically, you imagine yourself succeeding. You picture yourself doing well in specific situations.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're actually training your mind to believe it's possible.
So it's like a mental rehearsal.
Exactly. And it can really help reduce anxiety.
Because you're familiarizing yourself with the situation.
Yeah, even if it's just in your mind.
Right. So when you actually face the situation, it's less scary.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, the more detailed your visualization, the more effective it will be.
So don't just imagine the end result.
Right.
Imagine the whole process.
Yeah. Picture yourself going through the steps.
Okay.
Imagine what you'll say, how you'll feel.
Make it as real as possible.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can use visualization for all sorts of things.
Okay, so not just specific events.
No, you can visualize yourself as a confident person in general.
Oh, interesting.
And that can actually change how you act in real life.
Because you're training your mind to see yourself that way.
Exactly.
I like that. So we're visualizing success.
We're being kind to ourselves.
Right.
We're taking care of ourselves. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
I think the most important thing of all
Okay.
is developing a growth mindset.
Growth mindset.
It's the belief that your abilities aren't fixed.
Okay.
They can grow and change.
So it's like you're not stuck with what you have.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the opposite of a fixed mindset, where you believe you're born with certain talents.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a growth mindset says, I can always learn and improve.
So it's about potential.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have a growth mindset, you're more likely to embrace challenges.
Because you see them as opportunities to learn.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you're more resilient when you face setbacks.
Because you can bounce back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a big part of this is changing how you talk to yourself.
Okay.
Instead of saying, I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
Say, I'm not good at this yet.
Yeah.
That little word makes a big difference.
It implies that you can improve.
So it's about focusing on the journey.
Exactly.
Right.
And celebrating progress.
Instead of dwelling on what you haven't achieved yet.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So we're embracing a growth mindset.
Yeah.
We're being kind to ourselves.
Right.
We're taking care of ourselves. We're surrounding ourselves with supportive people.
Yeah.
We're visualizing success.
Right.
We're stepping outside our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And we're being consistent.
It all adds up.
It does. This has been such an incredible conversation.
Yeah, it has.
It's really given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
And I hope it's given you guys listening a lot to think about as well.
Absolutely.
So, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
But if there's one thing I want you guys to take away from this, it's that self-confidence is something you can build.
It's within your reach.
Yeah.
It just takes effort.
And it takes time.
Yeah, it's a process.
So don't get discouraged if you don't see results overnight. Just keep practicing these strategies.
Be patient with yourself.
Yeah, be patient with yourself.
And remember, you're capable of amazing things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on Everyday English Pod.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
And we hope you found this helpful.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye.
Take care.